Today I'm going to show you how to build an iOS app directly on your phone without coding using this one AI tool that most people haven't heard of. This app is called Vibecode and it's built by Riley Brown's team, and he has built an app that allows you to build iOS apps directly on your device without even touching or writing a single line of code. So today I'm going to test it, see if I can build an app in under 30 minutes and show you the results so you can see if this is something that you should be using. If you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design, and I believe the next wave of incredible businesses is going to be built using these AI tools. And with that said, let's get straight into the app and see what we can build.
Build great product. Build great product.
So this is the app Vibecode from Riley Brown's company, and essentially this lets you generate iOS apps natively on your iOS device just by telling it what you want to create. Now this is a beta version of the app that I have signed up for here, so I'm sure there's going to be some bugs here, but I want to see how quickly can I build an app here that is going to be useful and that I could use on a day-to-day basis. Now this might not be something that I would want to publish directly to the App Store, but I think the idea here and the concept behind this app is that we're kind of entering this era of personal software where if I have an idea for an app or a piece of software that would be valuable to me in my life, that I could kind of just create it on the fly and then use these AI tools and combine them together in a way that's going to empower me to kind of create something that's valuable. So my idea for what I want to create here is that this is going to be like a daily startup advisor. So the user experience that I want to create is that I record a rough summary of the day at the end of my day, what I've done that day, what problems I came up against, what the questions I want to ask, anything that I'm concerned about, or any new ideas that I have. And what this app is going to do as my strategic advisor is going to take all that information and what it knows about my business, and then it's going to give me 3 key actions displayed as cards on the app every single day that I can kind of follow and check off on a daily basis to kind of create like compound growth in my business. So let's try and create it with Vibecode. And for context, I haven't used this app yet, so I've only seen rough demos that Riley has been through on his own channel and on other podcasts. And so this is my first attempt at actually using this. And so let's see what happens. Let me record my idea. So now you can see this, what I've recorded here, this gigantic ramble that I put into Vibecode. It might be nice if the text shrunk to a size that would fit this as I was explaining it. If I said something that was really, really long, I know I have a tendency to talk way too much here and actually over explain things. So maybe this is more indicative of me just over describing what I would like it to do. But essentially what I've told it to do is I want a strategic startup advisor. It's going to ask me to input a daily report using my voice at the end of every day in a few minutes, and then create a set of action cards, which allows me to like tick off as a to-do list high leverage actions that are going to help me improve and grow my business. And then I gave it like a role for that strategic advisor of how I want it to kind of coach me, and then an idea of the user journey here as well and what interactions I want to create in the app. So let's see what it creates off the back of that. I'm going to click generate down here. I think this image attachment here might be for like an image reference, because I haven't actually given it any design direction here. So it'll be interesting to see like what design does it generate just off the back of this prompt. So now this is generating, as is common for vibe coding apps. You can see it generating the code down here below. I just wanted to actually mention something that I noticed here whilst this was generating my app, is that this code that is generating actually underneath here, this is not actually generated code, because this same element keeps on scrolling past. And so this is actually just a looping video, I think, to give a sense of progress, which is, I don't hate, to be honest, because like I've worked with so many startups before where they've had to like do pretty hacky versions of like showing the way that something works. And so I don't hate the fact that that's not the actual code. It might, I mean, don't get me wrong, Riley Brown, if you want to tell me otherwise, this is the actual code that's being generated, but I reckon this is just like a placeholder GIF or loading image that looks like code to kind of simulate that effect, which, you know, fair enough. It's early stage startups. You got to do what you got to do, right? Okay, we have an app. Here we go. So we've got this orange menu button here. That is actually the Vibe Code app menu. So you've got like options here to edit this app here. So you can add a response to like add edits. You've got versions here. So this is that first version that I created. And you have support, which goes through to just like a tech support, I think. And so if I go back there, it would be, I wonder if I can, okay, perfect. So you can move that menu button around like wherever you need to kind of get it out of the way of the app that you've created. Here is my app, Strategic Advisor, build something great, record your daily report and view action cards. So I click on view action cards, no actions created yet. Your journey, 0 daily report, 0 actions completed, 0% completion rate. So let's record a daily report and then see what action cards it comes back with. Quick break in the episode to talk about my community for people who are building apps with AI and actually want to make a profit. It's called the AI App Builders Academy. So if you're building an app using Bolt or Lovable or Cursor or any other AI tool and you actually want to make a profit, then this is the community for you. Inside, you'll get access to a community of other builders, weekly Q&As and demo days, and my full product to profit course covering everything you need to know to validate your idea, build your app, and then grow it from your first customers and beyond. You'll also get access to all of my startup frameworks from my 15 years experience of designing apps and advising startups on product and design. So if you're building an app with AI and you actually want to make a profit from it, head over to school.com/AI apps and join the community. I'll see you there. Alright, I've recorded my daily report here and I've got failed to process your recording. Please try again or check your internet connection. I don't actually know what was happening there. We've got a couple of errors down the bottom here. So I'm assuming that when you're building an app and when you get errors, it's kind of showing that error log down the bottom here as well, which is actually pretty useful and like quite a good like visual way of showing these errors. So what's really good about using a tool like Claude Code, if you're building with Claude Code or if you tried building with Claude Code, is that you can kind of, because it's more agentic, you can kind of ask it to go back through the errors, figure out how to approach it, create a plan, and then execute on that plan to fix all those errors like in one go as one task, and it will put together the plan, it will go and do those. So one thing that would be really useful here would be a way to, obviously, so I can go through these errors. Let's say like this one, okay, so maybe copy all here is actually a way of copying all the errors. So let's copy all and then minimize that. There's the menu button on the main screen. Let's go into this and let's paste the errors back in here. And let's say, it's a lot of text. Let's say, can you figure out what's going wrong here and fix these errors? There's an issue with like the scrolling and the text bar here a little bit. Let's send that off and see what it does. So it's saying here that one of the errors is related to the API key. So I know one of the benefits that Riley Brown has kind of said about the Vibe Code app is that this app is designed to kind of work out of the box. So you don't really need to do like any of this technical stuff like figuring out API keys or like any of this stuff. It should kind of give you all of this functionality out of the box. And I imagine they're kind of building a pricing model for this app where you're kind of paying a monthly subscription and then they're kind of offsetting their usage using their APIs against that monthly price to figure out something that's going to work for their business. And so now Vibe Code is going through and fixing these issues. Ideally, I imagine that Vibe Code should use the correct API keys from Vibe Code's side in the app that it's building when it builds this initial app, but it's put in fake API codes here as well. I would be really interested to see what a version of Vibe Code looks like where they abstract this complexity even further. So almost like how far can you abstract it towards not kind of having visibility of this technical stuff at all? Because if you think about the concept of building your own personal software using an app on your phone, would ideally be maybe for someone who's even not that technical. And so having visibility of what's going wrong here is maybe not even necessary. It just needs to say like, there's been an error, and you press a button that says fix, and then it will fix it for you. Do you actually, like, how far could you abstract that? Or even to say like, if it spots that there's an error, have like an error checking agent mechanism as part of this app to check the app for errors after it's been built, go back and fix anything that it finds, and then only present the version that's fixed back to the user. So even take away that concept of having an error and then needing to fix it afterwards. And then that would be like a truly non-technical solution to building native apps that are truly personal to you. Okay, here we go. So what's working now? It's gone through all these things that are working. This is actually really similar to Claude Code, in which it's like showing you all the steps that it's taken and what it's fixed. So this actually is working in a really similar way, which is great. This is already like a very good experience here. So I made some fixes, and it's still using mock APIs, but it's actually generating me dummy data in the app now. So it's given me my strategic actions for tomorrow off the back of a recording that I did, which was fake. It didn't really have anything in. So I would be really interested to see like, how do we test this with an actual like API? Do I need to put my API key in here, or is this using the services from Vibecode's side? But essentially we have like actions here that we can do, and overall like the design of this is pretty clean. It's fairly generic. What I want to try and do now is to actually prompt it with some design direction. I'm going to take a screenshot of an app, and I'm going to attach it in here when I ask it to make those design changes. And so let's do that now. So you can see you can complete and skip these just from moving these back and forth. And it says like, identify and reach out to 2 potential strategic partners. And it says why this matters, and like also the opportunity for growth and like what category it's in. So this is stuff that I haven't prompted it, which is super useful as well. So I can kind of decide on what I want to do based on that. So let's come out of here now, and let's go back and actually try and prompt these design changes and see what happens. So I've created a prompt in here I've just attached a dark mode image of the X app, and I've also asked it to update the design style to be minimal and clean in dark mode. I also want to try to ask it to use like a luxury style display serif font as the heading. And a design style similar to Perplexity's brand and design style. So we'll see what it does with that. Let's see how it updates it. You've also got a little view of like that updating on the lock screen as well, which is super useful. So here we go. We have the completely redesigned app with a luxury dark mode aesthetic inspired by Perplexity's design language. New luxury dark design features dark theme, serif typography, luxury colors, glass morphism, which it's added, which I didn't actually ask there, so it's good that it's kind of picking up on these things. It does say that we now have to reload the app, which I'm assuming is this button in the top right, which is like the circle arrow. Alright, so I've made a few more tweaks to my app. I've actually gone back to a light version of the UI here as well, and I've just asked it to enable the AI functionality here so that we can actually test the real AI and voice transcription being enabled in the app. So it's gone and done that. A couple of things to note on like me going through a few of these changes when I was doing the UI is that it did have a lot of issues doing some very, very minor changes. So although it's doing these big changes really, really well in Vibecode, when I asked it to remove this phrase here, wisdom begins, it then replaced it, even though I asked it to just remove it. And I said, remove wisdom begins and do only this. And then it removed wisdom begins and it put in growth accelerates instead. And I was like, okay, that's even worse. And so I asked it again to remove it and don't replace it with anything. and it removed it and replaced it with Wisdom Begins again. So I guess we're stuck with Wisdom Begins. It also couldn't center this heading, Your AI Startup Coach. It couldn't actually just put it in the middle. And so now we've got this, and I feel like this is a nicer, calm and relaxing feeling app, which is kind of what I wanted to go for. If I'm going to use this at the end of every day, it should be a bit more relaxing to use. And so I'm going to test the Today's Insight voice transcribing to actually give me the actions back based off of what I've done that day. And hopefully these actions are going to update, these daily actions are going to update based on what I've said in the audio as well. I also wanted to remove this Walt Disney quote at the bottom here, but I just didn't get around to doing that. And so I think we're just going to leave that for now, and I'm going to test the voice transcribing. So let's do it. This is now crafting my strategic actions. Okay, here we go. So new strategic actions generated for you. Off the back of my audio that I recorded, customer discovery call, optimized conversion funnel, and strategic partnership outreach. Okay, they were the ones that were there before. Fine. Let's get rid of those. Let's do skip. And okay, let's do skip, and let's do skip. And let's just focus on these ones down here. So we can actually, we can remove these as well, I think. Analyze YouTube metrics for growth strategy. Great. Develop AI agency case study from recent work. That's great. That's for Telescope. My design agency, which has moved to an AI first design agency, and implement community engagement strategy. Design a structured weekly activity plan for your AI app building community to boost engagement. That's great. So it's given me some key actions based on my audio, and they're showing up in my strategic actions here as tomorrow's actions. That is great. That's hopefully showed you like using Riley Brown's Vibe Code app from his company, Software Composer, how you can create native apps. And I've done that all in just about under 30 minutes. So that's pretty quick for pulling something together that can actually give me a tangible benefit in my day-to-day life. Now, I don't actually know how I would create this into an app. So how do I actually, I've got my versions in here. There's support, which is just customer support for the app. I don't know. Let's go back to home and let's say, so these are my apps. I've got my profile here, but I don't know how I can't get this on the App Store, and this is only accessible through the Vibe Code app. So it's kind of like a repository for all of my apps that I've created here. So I still have to go into Vibe Code and then access my app that way and just use it locally on my own device. There's no way of actually turning this into an actual iOS app that can be on the App Store. And so with that said, let's just get into my final thoughts on the Vibe Code app, whether it's something that you should use and try out, and some key insights from this app about the future of building software with AI. So that was Vibe Code, and I think my first impressions are this feels a little underbaked, but there is a huge amount of potential there. The idea of being able to build iOS apps directly on your device using a very familiar interface to kind of test and build makes complete sense to me, but it feels like there's one of two directions that Vibe Code can kind of take as a company here. Either they can take the route where they're helping more everyday people kind of create personalized apps, this idea of personal software built directly on your device for anything they need, or they can take the path of being a more kind of professional and slick iOS app development platform, but that exists directly on your device. Now, I feel like they're taking the kind of second path here, but you could legitimately see a business working in either of those two directions, and they could even potentially cater for both down the line with a developer mode and a standard mode. What I really liked about the app is it's got all of the API stuff, all of the voice kind of transcribing stuff built in, so that very natural way of building apps and writing code is immediately apparent when you're using the app. But one area that I felt like it fell down was just in the way that it interprets the things that you're asking for it. And so I think there needs to be a bit better controls on the agent side for how it's writing that code, how it's implementing it, and how it's taking your instructions and then building that app for you. Would I recommend it? I think if you want to try something and test it and have a lot of fun, to be honest, because it is a really fun app to use, and build personal apps on your device that can help you, I think it's a really great place to start, and it's a really interesting tool to use. At the moment, if you're building iOS apps and you want to actually put it onto the App Store and start getting customers and people using that, it's not something you can do from the platform right now. Now, potentially in the future, you would be able to do that. So if you want to get a head start and start building stuff on Vibe Code with the expectation that they're going to introduce that feature in the future, then go for it. I can't guarantee that they will do that. For me, this is a really interesting app and maybe something that I'll kind of dip into every now and then, but definitely is much more geared towards building those personal apps on your device for your own use at the moment. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, you can get all of my startup and app building frameworks by signing up to my newsletter over at buildgreatproducts.com. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
Build great products. Build great products.